Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. We are going to talk about a subject today called lasting leadership. And it's a talk or a subject matter that I've been marinating on for some time. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. It's meant to encourage you and inspire you and add some passion to your day, add some passion to whatever initiative that you're leading. And maybe it can add passion to your relationship or the next season in life, whatever that looks like. And the premise of it, the title Lasting Leadership, is that if I'm to lead, my goal is not just to lead through my impact. My goal is to lead through others so that those people that I lead can have an impact on those people that they lead and so on. So the leadership is not a temporary influence. And then when I leave, the influence dies. The leadership is meant to influence for a multitude of time, generations, leadership that's going to last beyond my tenure, beyond my job title, beyond my career. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And the first point that I want to make sure is clear, and it's really a three-point message. It'll be quick. The first point is nothing happens without leadership. And leadership is not about resources controlled. It's not about title. It's not about power. Yes, power and leadership go together, and that's very important to understand. And title sometimes is important. Legitimate authority is important, and so are resources. But those things do not have to be present in order for influence to happen. So leadership is about influence. In December of 2022, I was approached by two very what seemed to be meek and humble and kind women, and they had a conversation with me. They had a conversation with me about uh, potentially going into a prison system and speaking with some of the students about entrepreneurship. And the conversation they had with me was great, and they were nice. But in the back of their mind, they had a plan, they had an initiative, they had a vision, and they were tactical in their conversation with me. They brought me into the prison. I had a conversation, and it went well. And the conversation led to them offering me a position to teach full time within the prison system. And about 9 months later, I'm now speaking at a graduation, and I am deeply vested and deeply interested in participating in this program to help some of the inmates at a prison system graduate with a college degree. And the reason why I tell you that story is that this would not have happened if it wasn't for those two ladies and their initiation of speaking with me, of taking the time, energy, and effort out of their day to think, hey, we're trying to build a program. We need professors, we need educators to come into this building and teach some of these inmates. And if it wasn't for them, nothing would have happened. And they initiated something. So it's important to understand that we can't just zealously and hastily jump into initiatives, that there has to be a discerning process before leadership happens, but nothing will happen unless we initiate in some form of leadership. Seth Godin talks about shipping, this concept of even though it's not perfect, we still have to get it out the door. So what I ask you and what I hopefully can inspire you to do and encourage you and influence you to do is to lead something. What have you been chewing on? What have you been marinating? What is it that's on your mind and on your heart that's not going away? Not just hastily jumping into a leadership position or doing something because it feels good, but what is it that you believe is your calling in leadership? And let's start it because it will not happen unless you lead it because nothing happens without leadership. I'll give one more story I'll never forget. In 2017, right after Hurricane Irma, when our business was in a very busy time, we had customers to serve. A hurricane just hit. We had all of our resources were being used in operations. And my father called me on the phone, and we had planned on initiating a backpack program where we're going to partner with Caring for Miami and our organization to pack backpacks for the Florida City elementary school students who didn't have the resources to get food just to live, had needed some excess food. And we were going to do this charitable initiative, this way of blessing these students or blessing these elementary school students with these backpacks. And we needed to have a packing event. We needed to go shopping. So it took some coordination. And we were talking about, then the hurricane hit. And then a couple weeks after the hurricane hit, my father called me on the phone. He said, listen, we're going to do this initiative. I am not going to wait another day or another week while these students go hungry, while these elementary school students do not have enough food to eat. We said that we were going to do it, and I'm initiating it now, and it's going to happen on Thursday. And when he said that, because he had the right intention, because he is a leader, and he had a plan. I had no problem just agreeing with helping him with this initiative. But it took him to say, we're going to do this because nothing happens without leadership. We ended up doing it. We ended up packing those bags. We ended up getting those resources, getting that food to the children in the elementary school, and it worked out. But it would not have happened unless my father initiated it because nothing happens without leadership. Okay, next point. Leaders are learners. And I thought about this as well. If leaders are learners leaders? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But in 2005, it was my junior year in college, and I was taking a personality psychology class. And at this point in time, I was playing sports pretty much my whole high school, most of college. And then at this point, I just stopped playing football. And this was really when learning to me had a different sense to it. It wasn't somebody forcing me to learn, somebody putting it on me as if they were coercing me to learn. It actually turned into something that I wanted to do. So this personality psych class didn't really love the teacher too much, didn't find his lectures that entertaining, and they weren't really engaging. But the book was unbelievable. And I started reading this book and I couldn't put it down. I remember I would separate from all my friends, I would separate from my fraternity brothers, and I would go to just odd places on campus just to open up this book and to eliminate as much distraction as possible. And I would read this book and the stories and I learned about myself. I learned about some people that I love. I learned about how people think and why people think and the different ways that people are different from one another. Personality psych class. Devoured the content, really learned how to learn and care about it. And that was the beginning of what I believe was my leadership journey because as I grew in knowledge, I grew in my desire to change things and desire to help people and desire to lead. So, what are you learning and why? And are you putting that theory into practice? There's also another concept called emotionally healthy leadership, and it comes from really learning from others and learning from how people respond to you, what's going on in your inside, what's going on in your basement, what kind of things are you leading from? I always think about something that this gentleman Peter Scorazio said. He said that we have to lead from our marriage. So whether you're married or not, it's really saying lead from your relationships with others, especially the important relationships. How good are those relationships? Is my relationship with my wife healthy? Is it a solid foundation? Is she encouraging me? Is she helping me become more of what my God calling is, my purpose? Is she helping rejuvenate my spirit? And can I then be sent out from those nurturing, basement oriented relationships, leading from my marriage to the people that I'm leading? And how emotionally healthy am I in those leadership positions? The more emotionally healthy I am in my personal relationships, the better my marriage is, the more emotionally healthy I'm going to be leading others. It's not going to affect me as much that have problems, their problems aren't going to resonate and come onto me. I'm going to be healthy in those relationships. So leading out of my marriage and the concept that we're talking about right now is leaders are learners. What I'll ask you are learners leaders. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So one of the greatest things I've learned as a leader is the need to get over myself. It's not about me. It's not about what I know. It's not about how much I know. There's no point in time in which I have arrived where I say, okay, I've learned enough. I have all of the answers and I can't learn from the people around me. That's not what it's about. And if I'm a learner, I'm learning all the time. Yes, there's times to initiate because nothing happens without leadership. But the reality is, every circumstance I'm in, I'm learning. What does it mean to learn? Going from theory to practice and lifting those who come after you and sharing and encouraging others. So if it's not about me and I have to get over myself, then what I'm learning, am I pouring in and then am I pouring back out to others? What articles am I consuming? What podcasts are interesting to me? Am I sharing it with others? And then am I sitting down with them and I'm asking them questions? Hey, what do you think about this content? What do you what does this speak to you? How can we learn and grow through this kind of stuff together? Leaders are learners, and learners are leaders. Are learners leaders? If you learn something, are you sharing it with others? If you learn something, do you think that you have arrived and that you know it all? Or do you think that when you learn something, there is an opportunity to then send it to other people and continue to learn and process that content and learn it from different perspectives? So we can't deliver what we haven't developed. So if I haven't learned it, if I haven't understood it, then how am I going to deliver that? And the way that we deliver that is that we have to learn it. And then when we learn it, we haven't arrived. We share it with others. And then when we share with others, we develop it, we refine it, and then we can deliver it consistently, consistently. So even like what I'm talking about today, I've devoured this content. I've been thinking about this and marinating on this and chewing on this for some time. So I'm confidently, hopefully, confidently delivering it to you so that it makes sense and resonates with you somehow. Leaders are learners. Failure is not an option, it's a necessity. This is what Craig Groeschel often tells his team is that failure is not an option, it's a necessity. Leaders are learners. Change happens through challenge. If we don't put us in situations where we can learn, put us in situations where we don't know something and we want to grow through that something, that growth only happens in times of discomfort, sometimes in times of chaos. And comfort and learning don't really coexist. They can't. Comfort and learning don't really coexist. Stretching our mind, doing something different. Leaders are learners. And teaching and investing in others obviously is important. When a leader gets better, everyone gets better. That's something Craig Rochelle often says. And pour out what we have poured in. I just tell before I move on to the last point, which is value delivered. And when we're thinking about nothing happens without leadership, and leaders are learners, I have learned so much from my children, and one of which is very in my face, and it's my 3-year-old daughter. Her name is Ryla. And on mornings when her mom is not awake and dad wakes up early, that's me, gets up early. I give her yogurt for breakfast, and she's having fun. And she looks at me and says, "Daddy, I want candy. Or I want M&Ms." And I say, "Baby, you can have some M&Ms." So I give her some M&Ms. She takes advantage of me because I'm her father. She definitely knows that. And then once she's done her M&Ms, she looks at me and says, "Daddy, I want some more M&Ms." And I say, "Baby, you cannot have any more M&Ms." And then she goes, "Hmm," crosses her arms. And then she says, "Daddy, I love you." And I look at her and I say, "Baby, you can have some more M&Ms." And I tell that story because my daughter at 3 years old is teaching me something about influence. My daughter is teaching me something about how she's learning and how she's adapting and how she knows me different than she knows mom. And she's influencing me to do things for her or with her because of her nonverbals, because of her cuteness, or just because she wants something. So nothing happens without leadership. And leadership is not about resources controlled, it's about influence. And my 3-year-old daughter can influence me, a 38-year-old grown man, to do something that I wasn't originally wanting to do because of her ability to influence me. And that kind of goes to show that leaders are learners. She's a learner. And also that nothing happens without leadership. And if Riley can do it, we all can do it. Hopefully we're leading in a direction not towards M&Ms, but towards something else. But last point, value delivered. And again, this isn't an academic talk. This isn't from a book. These are just things that are on my heart that I have been thinking about that I wanted to share with you. So value creation is happening. For others that know leaders, we know when there's a good leader around, their presence, how they speak, what they talk about, just their investment into us, their willingness to listen to us, their willingness to be engaged, that's delivering value to us. Just affirmation, just being around them and being a part of the conversation about whatever it is we are leading. This is value. So when we're leaders, when we're learners, when we're making things happen, value is being delivered all the time in business and entrepreneurship. We always talk about value creation, delivering value. And I believe that the best value that we can create is in and through people, is investing in people, increasing the value of human beings, development of leaders, development of people, learning, all this kind of stuff. So value delivered, value creation is happening. A learning environment, if you think about it, for anybody who cares about investing in others and some form of educators, we all know that it's not about the circumstance or the environment that we're in. I mean, environment matters, but if you're in a school, a church, boardroom, a meeting room, an office, a field, a bedroom, it doesn't matter where you are. Learning can be ongoing. It matters about the people that are receiving the message. It matters about the students, coachability. Are we engaged? And when we can create those environments, when we sense that somebody is listening to us, we are delivering value. So nothing happens without leadership. Leaders are learners. learners are leaders, and value is being delivered. So leaders make others better. The back to the story about teaching in the prison and teaching some of the inmates, I have grown in confidence, in appreciation for education, in wisdom. I mean, I've learned a lot from their stories. From my time teaching them, I've become a better husband, a better father, a better educator, a better businessman because of my willingness to humble myself, pour out some of what I poured in, being willing to make something happen because leaders make things happen, and also knowing that I'm still learning. I haven't arrived. I want to learn from these students. I want to listen to their stories and I want to develop them together. And the environment is a prison. It doesn't matter. We are learning and growing together, and value is being delivered consistently. Last couple points, value creation is happening. Allow people to add value to your life. Listen, learn, grow in wisdom, and gain value from others because it's there, especially you leaders. Learn from other leaders. Know that your conversations with others are adding value to their life and be intentional about that. And there's no need to wait. Start writing the book, start talking to the people, start doing what matters to you. Look for opportunities that interest you and grow and expand your opportunity horizon. When you learn something new, progress begets progress. Then you learn something new again. You learn something new again. It's constantly evolving and growing. It's an amazing thing. So expand your opportunity horizon. To wrap up, we talked about how nothing happens without leadership. I shared a story about the two ladies that initiated a conversation with me to teach in the prison system. I shared a story about my father and how he wanted to get that food to those children at the Florida City Elementary School. And I initiated a lot of things because nothing happens without leadership. And then we talked about leaders are learners. We talked about filling up and then pouring out, knowing that as leaders, we haven't arrived. There's no arrival point saying, I've learned it all, I know it all, therefore I can't learn anymore. No, we're learning and refining because leaders are learners and also learners become leaders. Talked about the story of my personality psych class and how I started learning and marinating on that information and learning initiated my desire to then lead because I saw something that I was passionate about. I wanted to talk to other people about it, and I wanted to make things happen. Leaders are learners. And lastly, values being delivered. There's a graduation coming up in the prison, and the some of the students are getting associate's degrees. Praise God, amazing thing. But the reality is sometimes success breeds complacency. And sometimes we think, okay, now that I have a degree, I can go do something valuable in my life. And that's not the case. Value can be delivered regardless of whether or not you've reached that end destination, regardless of whether or not you met that goal or you conquered that initiative. That value can be delivered all the time. Success is a continuum, setting goals, resetting goals, setting new goals, and value can be delivered across that continuum. In between goals, value can be delivered. So you're delivering value now. Allow others to deliver value to you. Nothing happens without leadership. Leaders are learners, and value is being delivered. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully, you're encouraged and energized in your initiatives. And tune in for the next talk sometime soon. Take care.